Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot, and in this video I'm going to show you how to perform a sidestep approach. Now, what is a sidestep approach? In order to figure out, let's take Navigraph charts to hour 8, where I'm going to show you what we are currently doing. We are at the moment on approach to Gran Canaria Airport, and there is a NOTAM out that runway 03 left is currently closed for landings due to construction going on halfway around the runway. Therefore, runway 03 right is currently the main takeoff and landing runway. However, if we have a look into the left here, we will see that there are actually no approaches published to runway 03 right. So all the approaches there are to runway 03 left, and this means we need to approach runway 03 left and perform a sidestep or a swing over to runway 03 right. Common courses for doing such maneuvers, apart from the scenario that I've just lined out, would include, for example, time saving that might be achieved by doing such maneuver. An example of this is Frankfurt Airport, where you can save a lot of time by swinging over from runway 25 left to runway 25 center. Let me just show this to you to give you a good example of when a swing over can be useful. And we can see it on Frankfurt over here. Usually they use runway 25 right and runway 25 left for landings, but when there is no traffic on 25 center, an airplane that is currently approaching 25 left may elect to do a swing over onto runway 25 center in order to save time on the taxi, since otherwise they'd have to do something like this. But if they land on 25 center, they just land, can do something like this. Okay, so back to our scenario. There are a couple rules in place, of course, as always in aviation, for performing a sidestep approach. Now, these will be different per operator, therefore what I'm about to tell you is the guidance as used in my company, but it may be different per airline. So, a sidestep maneuver can be commenced providing the following. The sidestep has been requested by air traffic control and a missed approach instruction is confirmed. So very important here, once you do a sidestep, you're practically on a visual maneuver. Therefore, it might be necessary to coordinate the missed approach instructions. For example, when you're doing the swing over in Frankfurt, they are always going to tell you missed approach instructions together with the instructions for the swing over. Usually missed approaches are something like climb runway heading 5,000 feet, cleared visual approach runway 25 center, as an example. So, the sidestep has been requested by ATC and missed approach instructions are confirmed. The landing runway threshold is equal to or further away than the threshold of the instrument approach runway being flown. So in our case here in Gran Canaria, we can see that they are directly abeam one another. It has to be daylight in VMC, and VMC is defined in my operator as a cloud ceiling above 1,000 feet and visibility 5,000 meters or more. The puppy has to be in sight. You have to be visual with the landing runway, and the maneuver must be commenced prior to 1,000 feet above landing altitude indicated. Now, if you are flying a 737, you will have this little white bar on the left side of the altimeter, which is going to indicate you the exact point where you're 1,000 feet above the landing runway. Landing flaps have to be selected prior to commencing the maneuver. The stabilized approach criteria can be met, and landing performance must be calculated in advance for the most limiting runway. So landing performance here is important. As we can see, in our current case, approaching Gran Canaria, both runways have the same length, so that is not a factor. However, there might be cases where you are swinging over to another runway that has more limiting runway performance, for example by providing a worse surface and thus worse braking action, or by simply being shorter than the runway that you have originally approached. So landing calculation must have been carried out. Now, this much for the limitations regarding a sidestep approach. Let's quickly talk about the actual procedure then. And the sidestep approach is carried out as following. When commencing the maneuver, disconnect the auto flight director system, so the autopilot and the auto throttle. Detune any ILS frequency that may previously have been in use to avoid nuisance warnings. For example, if the landing runway threshold is a little bit behind the approach runway, you might be getting glide slope warnings. And recycle the flight directors. Anticipate the FMC alert message runway approach tune disagree. And finally, we are going to use a 300-foot landing gate for sidestep maneuvers. Be aware that when the sidestep requires intercepting the puppy from below, as in the landing runway threshold is further aft than the approach runway threshold, this has to be done in a level segment, and this requires increasing thrust to approximately 70% in order to establish the level segment. Alright, so we have been talking a lot about the theories behind this maneuver. Let's go right forward into the practical terms. Now I'm going to show you how we are going to execute this maneuver. Right, we are established on the ILS approach runway 03 left. Let's start to configure the airplane for the approach. Gear down, flaps 15. Flaps 25. And keep in mind, landing flap has to be selected by 1,000 feet. Okay, flaps 30 intermediate. And flaps 40. Landing flap selected, landing checklist. Start switches continuous, recall checked, speed brake arm green light, gear down 3 green, auto brake 3 set, flaps 40, 40 green light, landing lights on, landing checks complete. Okay, now we start the maneuver. Disconnect, start the maneuver, deselect the ILS frequencies to avoid any nuisance warnings, and finally recycle the flight director. And as you can see, we have the puppy of the landing runway in sight, just over there. The threshold is approximately beam our original threshold. And now we can continue on the actual maneuver. Okay, from here on, this is basically a visual approach, so the 300-foot landing gate applies, 500 continue. And the missed approach instruction we agreed with our traffic control are to proceed on the runway heading climbing 3,000 feet.
Plus 100.
Checked.
Minimums.
Continue. Okay, speed brake up, thruster as normal, and welcome to Gran Canaria. 81%, 100 knots. Okay, this is going to be it for this video. I hope that you have learned something, and if you did, then do let me know in the comments below if this was a new procedure to you, or if you have been doing it previously, and most importantly, if you did things any different before. In any case, I would like to thank you very much for watching. Hope that you have enjoyed the flight, and I'm looking forward to see you all again, hopefully very soon on the next one. If you do want to support the channel, you can now consider becoming a channel member, or you can make a donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. In any case, thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very soon.